Today I'm going to be talking about criminal justice reform for Dr. Yu's class. My name is Paul Estrada Cruz. I am a student at criminal justice. Um, so this presentation is meant to be able to provide an insight as to my belief in that we need criminal justice reform. I think there remain several categories and reasons why I strongly feel that criminal justice reform is needed, not only for the reasons that I'm going to be discussing today, but also just personal experiences that I have experienced myself growing up in disorganized neighborhoods. So to get into my presentation today, I wanted to talk about the first topic and the first reason as to why I believe in the criminal justice reform. One of the obvious reasons that I think we can all know and have more information about, and really is obvious, is the overcrowding of the prison populations. And as you look at Kansas as to its current prison population and where things are, Kansas, for the entire state of Kansas, according to the Department of Corrections, Kansas population has reached basically near capacity. Its projections was projected that for 2018, we were going to be at 10,321, with a capacity being 10,490 inmates for the state of Kansas. When you start to look at the big picture here, it's a tall tale about where we're headed. And I think as a society and as a community, we need to understand that we can't arrest ourselves out of a community problem. And we need to start looking at different solutions to how we respond and handle these situations amongst our community. There's this. I work in law enforcement, and I have for over 8 years. And one of the things that we constantly say amongst each other and always preach about is that we can't arrest ourselves out of a community problem, especially when it involves addictions, mental health, among other factors. So as we start to look at the big picture here of what the current situation is for the jails in Kansas, overall for the state, as I stated, for 2018, it was at 10,321. As for Sedgwick County, currently, there's an average of 1,500 prisoners that come in that are housed in the Sedgwick County Jail per day. There's on average between anywhere from 70 to 80 that are booked per day into the Sedgwick County Jail. Now, I know that the Sedgwick County Jail also has an annex building, which is located on the south side of Wichita, which then houses another 1,000 inmates. So you can start looking at the numbers of what that looks like. Not to mention the cost of how much that's going to cost our community and the taxpayers per prisoners. But what I'd like to focus on here today is mainly the picture, at least, of what the prisons are and what they look like for the state of Kansas and locally here for Sedgwick County. I know that as of February 2019, in a recent article that was communicated by Cake News in an interview with the sheriff, local sheriff Jeff Easter, he mentioned that currently, as of February, which was last month, the jail has overcapacity of 250 inmates, which is a real problem. And as you dig deeper into what is the issue with this, with these numbers, you'll start to see, and I'll discuss this further, but you'll start to see how the biggest problem here is a lot of these inmates have substance abuse issues. And overcrowding is a huge cause for concern. There has been numerous articles that have been aired by all three local stations, Channel 3, Channel 10, and Channel 12, about the crisis that they're seeing in El Dorado Prison. I recently did do a prison tour at the El Dorado facility, and it was amazing to me to see the ratio of inmates per officer, prison officer, guard, not to mention the amount of pods that exist in each section of the jail, and how many of those inmates are there under the responsibility of just one prison guard. So, also in a recent article, there was the state of emergency declared by the governor herself in regards to the crisis in the El Dorado prisons and the prisons in general. So we're seeing the symptoms of the issues of this old, archaic criminal justice system that we have, in which it's evident that people that go to jail simply is not going to be the solution. I can testify to, or I can speak to my own personal experience in working in law enforcement, in that you continuously arrest the same individuals, and the area that I was responsible for was in patrolling. I would run into the same individuals over and over and over, especially those that had drug addictions. Those individuals would routinely commit crimes to thrive their addiction, and it was a vicious cycle of going in and out of jail. And what wasn't getting addressed was the substance abuse. So that is the focus that I wanted to highlight in regards to prisons. I also quickly want to just touch on the racial disparities. Research has shown us that the number of inmates there that are represented are far more higher numbers in regards to minority community members. And I just quickly wanted to touch on that because I think it's worth mentioning as to the reason why we need a criminal justice reform. You know, another issue that I see as to why we need a criminal justice reform is just simply the unbalanced penalties. The reason I bring this up is because I've seen this over and over and over, not only at work, but also just amongst the community members, and also just in a personal experience. So currently, for the city of Wichita, they have a Class A misdemeanor city code 5.26.050A. Currently, you are faced for possession of marijuana. You are going to be facing a fine of up to $2,500 and up to 12 months in jail. What is very interesting to me is how you will face similar penalties, and actually the exact same penalty, for those that are driving unsuspended, and specifically those that are driving unsuspended if they get caught a second time. So for your second offense in the city of Wichita, if you are driving with a suspended license and this is your second offense, you're looking at a fine of up to $2,500 and 12 months in jail. Now, why is it significant? This is significant because there has been more than one occasion where I have run across people that are driving with a suspended license, and are people that have no criminal record, that have no criminal history whatsoever, and are simply trying to make a living and go to work. And it's no secret that the transportation system in the city of Wichita is horrible, and it's unreliable, and people have to drive in order to get to work. And there's been numerous occasions where, unfortunately, I have encountered individuals, and I've known of individuals who have been driving with the suspended because of necessity, and the reason their license was suspended in certain circumstances was due to the inability to pay for the citation, whether because of financial reasons, health reasons, you name it. They weren't able to respond with a citation within 10 days. If you don't respond with a citation in 10 days, you can get your driver's license suspended. So the burden that puts on the community is tremendous, and it's equivalent to that of a possession of a drug charge. To me, it gives a clear imbalance in the penalties. And not to mention, when you start discussing the issue of migrant communities, so for your undocumented communities, you have the issue of where people have no way of being able to obtain a driver's license, and B, if they at one point were able to obtain a driver's license in the state that provides driver's license to undocumented community members, if they come to the state of Kansas, they will not be able to renew that driver's license. And for the Kansas Department of Revenue, their policy is that if you drive without a driver's license, or if you drive with a license with an expired license and don't get it renewed, after several citations or encounters where you are given the citation, your license will automatically be suspended, which causes a tremendous amount of burden and problems of sending people to jail that shouldn't be in